Hello, welcome to the studio. This is my very first Facebook Live in this group, and so I'm hoping that we're going to have a good time today. The goal of today is to understand how to make something have some depth to it. And so I painted this earlier. I kind of showed you that as we went along, and the reason this is important and that it works is that there are a number of different shades of green in that. I'm going to show you some of the things that make things work are the variations in color. If you paint something, okay, we all know it's green. We all know these leaves are green. But if you paint them all the same color, all the same shade, all the same hue of green, they will look very flat. And you're going to look at it and go, something's just, I don't know what it is, but something's not right. Well, that's the problem. Almost, and I've had very famous artists tell me this, that most problems in painting can be traced to improper values. The values are off. And so then you can't quite figure out what you're looking at. Your eyes having a hard time sending information to your brain. Your eye is a miraculous thing. You just have to give it a little bit of information and it'll fill in all the rest. But if the information you give it is incorrect, then you're going to have problems. So when you look at a painting like this, okay, you see this up here in this corner, these petals that are closer are lighter, they're brighter. The ones farther away are a different shade. And so you see that in here, these lavender parts of the petals. In here you've got 3, 4, 5 different shades of, without those various shades, everything you paint will be flat. That's one of the hardest things for beginning artists to understand is why does mine look so odd or so flat? It's because the shading is wrong. Okay, I just did this morning to show you. I have another one ready to go. So I have my palette set up. I'm kind of a messy painter. It's acrylic paint. I use a Stay Wet box. I will be using a paper plate like, oh, I didn't bring, I'll still make it work. We're going to paint first the stems. So on my palette, when you set up your palette, you need to go light to dark, warm to cool. So I know this red up here is red, but it's a cool red. This green is a cool green. This green, the hooker's green here, is a warm green. I will put in the notes what colors I use, but I'll show you what I'm going to mix it with. Anytime you use acrylic paint, you need to start off with a damp, not soppy wet, damp brush. Okay, so I'm going to put in some green. I've got my hooker's green over here. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to add some blue because I want my darker, my background leaves and stems to be a little darker. I could use purple. I will add in some of this turquoise. Whoops, way too much. Turquoise, deep turquoise. Because as you add yellow to that, it is such a luscious color. Okay, I added a little bit of white. White is the great equalizer. It lets you, if you've got a dark color that you're painting with and you can't really see what that is, add a little bit of white to it and it'll tell you what color it is. So here we go. I've got my brush fully loaded with paint and I'm going to be painting on this part like this. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to bring them on. They're just very loose. This is another thing that's very hard for a beginning artist to understand, how to get a loose. See, these stems don't all have to connect to each other. As I said, you just have to give your eyes something to work on. Okay, so now I'm going to take some yellow and add. And when I say that's all I'm adding is just that little bit of yellow, okay? just that little bit. I'm going to add it to the green I'm using. I seldom clean out my brush, and I'm going to add a touch of white to lighten it up just a little bit. I'm going to add a little more yellow because that wasn't quite enough. Okay, here we go. We're going to add some more stems, and they're a little warmer. Not warm enough. There we go. I think that's going to work. There we go. Yep, you can see the difference there. Now I am painting, this is watercolor paper, 140-pound watercolor paper. It is just taped on here with painter's tape, and you have to let this entire painting dry before you take it off the board. Otherwise, it's going to warp. Even though it's watercolor paper, it will warp. So let's try to get something a little lighter. I'm just lightening up the color that I have on my palette. I keep working in one little area. I pull off a little bit of paint, and then I work in that. If you have a big glob of paint on your palette and you try to change the color in that gigantic glob, it will never work. I will show you on the paper plate later. So here comes some more lighter green, brighter green. Okay. Now I'm going to change brushes, so I always rinse my brush then, because it's acrylic paint. You don't want it to dry on your brushes. You'll have concrete in there and you won't be able to get it out. Okay, these are, I love these brushes. These are Royal Signature. This one here is a 1/2 inch. I had a 3/4 inch and an inch. They're a soft grip. I really like a long handled brush, but this soft grip is really nice. Although my hand is almost never there because I don't get that close up to my bristle. I'm always back on the brush. Okay, so now I'm going to add some lime green to a very little bit of the green that I'm working on. Okay, so, and I've added a touch of white to it. So now I'm going to throw in a few more stems. Oh yeah. So now we have made, how many different shades of green have we used? I'm going to add a little more white to that. And a touch of the orange. Might have added too much orange. We'll see. There we go. Yep, I like that. And all I'm doing is pushing and lifting and flicking. There's a learning curve on this, okay? Don't be surprised that you're not going to get it right away. Painting leaves was kind of hard for me to learn. Okay, I kind of like what we've got going on here. We're pretty much in the center. Now the one thing I do like, I'm going to rinse off this brush, and that's really all. I'm not cleaning it, I'm just rinsing it out. I'm going to get my biggest brush, and I'm going to pick up some of that very same paint, and I'm going to make some big leaves down in here. Not enough paint, Sharon. Don't be chintzy with your paint. You got lots of it. A little bit of white, lime green, and a little bit of orange. There we go. I wanted something with some weight in it. Some kind of leaf with some weight. To anchor your painting. Okay, so there we go. We've got some nice colors going on up there. I like that orange in there, so I'm going to throw a little more in this. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to clean out this brush again. Again, it's just water. I just have a little basin here that I put my brushes, rinse them in, and they have little holes in them so the brushes stand up. Okay, I'm going to pick up some of this green with the orange that we made. I'm going to make some, these are like weeds, okay? These aren't really leaves. They're and you just kind of look to see You don't put them on every one. You need something in the center here. And when you see my brush going over to the palette, I'm just making a little bit more of what I already have on there. So these are just little strokes. I'm just touching and flicking. There we go. That's a pretty good, it's not mirror image. I'm not symmetrical. I don't like everything to matchy. And my center is not in the center. It's a little to the left. Your eye is not crazy about things to be totally even. Like even numbers, hard for your eye to like. Okay, so we're going to put some flowers in here, and this is just a method. I'm just looking over here. Okay, this is carnation. These are just fun to paint. Now I'm going to get my paper plate out here and a brush. I'm going to pull off some alizarin crimson. Okay, this is the cool red. Now I'm going to pick up cad red. I'm going to pick up some orange and a pretty good piece of white. Okay, so they're all in different little holes in my paper plate. Okay. Now, when you look at anything, particular, let's look at this carnation. Okay, it comes, here's the stem part, and then the flower comes way out around it. Back here, it needs to be darker, and then these are the front petals. They need to be warmer. You need to lay out your palette every time the same way, and you should go light to dark in warms, and then light to dark in cools, and then a big pile of white someplace, because you're going to use a lot of that. Okay, so here we've got, now this is alizarin crimson, and it is a very transparent color. These are all transparent paints, but some are much more transparent, and alizarin crimson is the most. Okay, so I'm going to put, I added a little touch of purple to that alizarin crimson because I need something very dark, and because it's so transparent, I need to add a touch of white. Okay, touch, tiny bit. I'm not trying to make it pink. I'm just trying to make it so it's opaque, so you can't see through it. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna start, we're gonna put a carnation right in here. We're not gonna put it up here on the top because it's kind of a heavy flower. So here we go. And we're just bringing around the edges. Picking up more paint. The stem is going to be right in here, so we want the flower to come over. Okay, so now we're going to put some more alizarin crimson in that because we're running out of it. We're going to add some of this cad red because it will warm it up. Okay, so you can see the difference in the two colors there. Okay. So now we're going to put, these are going to be a little shorter. You want to see that dark back behind it, but as it comes towards you, it should get brighter and warmer. That's how your eye knows it's round. It's coming towards you. Okay, so we've got this orange over here. We're going to add this orange to this very same piece. So now you see I have 3 shades. Okay? So now we're going to come in here like this and add not too many. Okay, so there you're looking pretty good. Now we're going to rinse out that brush. I'm going to go with a smaller one. As it comes as they get closer to you, they also get a little smaller sometimes. That's not always true. So I'm going to add some white over here. Now, I told you that if you had a big pile of paint, you could not change it all at once. I could not take this piece or this pile of alizarin crimson and change the whole pot. For one thing, now you're going to have one flat color, and you don't want that. So you see, when my brush goes there to the canvas, you see all the colors of it on there, okay? So here I'm going to put just a few little, just to bring out some the lightness of it. Okay, so I'm gonna barely rinse out my brush and I'm gonna bring some of the Hooker's green and the lime green together. Let's see, I might need a little more Hooker's green. And I'm gonna add a little touch of blue to that. There we go. That'll cool it down, darken it up. Okay, now it might be still too light. I'm going to add a little bit of turquoise deep. Now, you know, it's amazing. As you start to blend colors, the more you mix, the more you'll understand about it. But all of a sudden, it'll poof, the right color will just almost immediately just show up. Whoop, there it is. Okay, well, here, and that's what happened here. So I am going to take my green. Okay, so there's, gotta pick up a little more. Here comes the stem. Okay, now carnations have these funky leaves, little skinny leaves that come out. They also have, in their stem, they have a little bulb every once in a while. And you can put those in there. Or you can leave them out, doesn't matter. Okay, so now that's one solid color of green. Okay, I can't live with it. It's too flat. So I'm adding a little bit of white, a little touch of yellow to my green mix. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pull it to the side. It's still not enough. There we go. Now you're seeing that it's round because the green part here is lighter than it is over here. Okay, so on my website, paintingwithacrylics101.com, you'll go there and there is a free daisy painting class on there. Not asking for any money. You can sign up for the class. It doesn't ask you for a credit card. It will ask you to give me your email address, but it's a 4-video series and you're gonna get that. And you can take that class and learn how to paint daisies. Let's go ahead and try one more of the carnations, and we're gonna put it, we might do 2. Let's look at, I'm here in my paint in the dark part. It's still wet, so I can still use it. I'm going to put something up here that's a little bitty one. Again, I'm on the point end of my brush, okay? I'll come back to that. So here we go. We're going to do another one. Picking up a little bit of that purple. That's quite a bit. There we go. That looks better. And a touch of that white to make it opaque. Remember, it's very transparent. You don't want to see those leaves and everything underneath your flower. Let's make this one considerably bigger. Okay, so you got to remember to come around. You need the shape of the flower. Okay, so there's where our stem's going to go. Now, can I bring the paint in? Do I always have to go out on that point edge? Yes, but you're going to have to. There's a learning curve here on all of this. Please don't get discouraged if it doesn't look like mine right away. It probably won't, okay? But as you practice, and that's why you have a video, you can see it 100 times, you'll get better. It'll make more sense. Okay, so here I'm taking the Cad Red and I'm adding it to the mix I made there, so I have more. So now I want to come in here with this, and here's some technical language. I'm smushing. I'm just smushing it on there. There we go. I like the color variation there. So now I'm going to take and add some orange to my mix, right where I had it before. There we go. We're going to add in some more of these petals. Now, this is wet in wet. The acrylic paint is wet, and so I'm adding more wet paint on top of that. So sometimes it will all blend together. If you play in it too much, you'll have one blob of color. Don't play in it. Okay, so here I'm going to add some white to my orangish mix. I'm going to try to get some more orange. I was kind of cheap with my orange. Let me take some over here. There we go. Want orange, Sharon? We got orange. Okay. And a little more white. Now, see, when I paint, that's what my brush looks like. It's got lots of color on it. If you try to mix it up like it's cake batter, you're going to be flat. Okay, so here we go. We're going to those ones in the back, those are the back ones, the darker ones. And then as it comes closer to you, we know it's the same color, but you have to, in order to create perspective and distance, you have to have those variations. So here we had the purple with the alizarin. We added some Cad Red light, we added some orange, we added some white. So there's 4 variations right there. Then as we came across here, we added more white at least twice. So that gives you 6 different values. Okay, we're coming back to our green. I used Hooker's green and lime green, and I'm going to add some yellow to that and a little bit of turquoise. Turquoise and yellow make the most gorgeous green. So here we go. We're going to put in there's that. And now we make sure you got a lot of paint on your brush when you do this. You're going to come down here like this and add it, and we're going to throw in some of those leaves, and they're sort of sticking straight out. They're not right opposite each other either. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, they're not like arms or, righty. They're opposite each other. We lost our leaves on this one, so we're going to give it another one. Okay, so in order to make that more round looking, there we go. We're going to put a little yellow on there. I might run a little streak of that yellow down the stem. As it dries, you kind of lose some of your color sometimes. So don't panic. There we go. Okay, so this is just a method. You can use this information in any number of ways on everything that you paint. It doesn't matter what it is. Everything has to have value. Everything has to change variations. Just like this green has got 4 colors in it. You can't just open up a tube of paint and squirt it out and get what you want. it will be flat, just like it is if you try to mix your paint up too much. You spend too much time mixing it, and now you have like cake batter and it's too flat. So I hope that you have enjoyed this. I'm going to bring it a little closer. There we go. Okay. So today you learned how to create some depth and how to get some perspective. So I hope that you've enjoyed this, and we'll talk again, and let's paint again real soon.